On this video, Dr. Dre is giving her reaction to this article. It's titled, in the New York Times, "Gentle Parenting is Spoiling My Granddaughter. What should I do?" Her mother's lack of discipline is turning the 10-year-old into a brat, and I'm worried about her future. It's a Ask the Therapist. Here we go. My stepdaughter has been a single mother for about 5 years. She's 45, and I recognize that it's tough raising a 10-year-old while holding a full-time job and routinely jostling with an uncooperative ex-husband. I tried my hardest to take everything into account. That's good. That's good strategy. We're getting somewhere. At issue is my stepdaughter's unwavering adherence to this gentle parenting concept of child rearing that's currently in fashion. Ain't that the truth? Whew, my goodness. I don't know why people are, I know why people are doing it. They've swung too, they were raised by too strict of parents, and then they decided to swing all the way back to the other way of gentle parenting. Let's continue. In my opinion, the child is developing into a brat who knows her mother will rarely issue meaningful discipline. Instead, her mother reasons with her daughter until the next time the daughter's actions merit reasoning. Okay. I warned my wife that today's 10-year-old brat is tomorrow's teenager prone to dangerous impulses. My wife agrees, but has yet to seriously address the issue with her daughter, despite my repeated attempts to get her to act. Yeah, we're seeing, by gentle parenting our teens today, we are going to see a population of adults who are only doing things when they feel like doing it. This is not good. We do not want that kind of society. We want adaptable people. We want adaptable adults who will do things because they know they're expected to do it, not just when they feel like doing it. Let's continue. Meanwhile, my stepdaughter and her child live nearby, and at every visit, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Inevitably, the child will be told something she resents, usually by me, and the predictable hunched shoulders, fisted hands, and the all too familiar scowl will issue as she stomps off and pouts, followed by her mother reasoning with her about grandpa's misstep. I get it, as the grandparents, you let your children parent and you don't step on their authoritative toes. You can do that a different way. But at the same time, as their parent, I don't know about the grandpa's misstep. It's a difficult situation for sure. I'm unable to do more than watch and simply await the arrival of a full-blown, out-of-control situation. Can you help? This is the therapist's response. And the therapist is Lori Gottlieb, who's the author of Maybe I Should See a Therapist. Okay, let's see what she says. You're watching events unfold that seem deeply misaligned with your own values and experience. That's making you feel that the only way to set things right is to change how your stepdaughter raises her child. It's important to remember, though, that underlying your frustration is your genuine desire for this young girl's well-being. Let this sense of care guide how you handle this. Intergenerational differences in parenting approaches can create tension because many parents today are reacting to how they were raised, sometimes overcorrecting in the process. That's what I was talking about. We've gone way too far this way, and we've now swung the other way. We need to come to the middle to authoritative parenting. We need to be raising children with high expectations within the context of the warm and fuzzies. That's how we're going to build and raise adaptable youth. If that's the case with your stepdaughter, you might look for the nuggets in her actions that you're aligned on instead of tossing her entire approach aside. No, you should just throw gentle parenting away. Yes, there are some good parts to it, but parents are too stressed. They are too burned out. 5.5 million parents are hitting clinically significant levels of parental burnout. They cannot do gentle parenting. They need to get their kids to do what they want them to do when they need them to do it because that's what's expected of them. And we can do this by using authoritative parenting. Here's a metaphor to consider. Children get lost in an ocean, stunted in a fishbowl, and flourish in an aquarium. What does this mean? Let's say a child is waiting in line at the ice cream truck and at the park, and before it's her turn, the treat she's been dreaming about all day is sold out. A parent's typical response indicates their child rearing style. The fishbowl approach. Stop pouting. If you pout, you won't get any ice cream and we're leaving the park. This authoritarian style of parenting might get results in the short term. The child obeys, but generally out of fear and not because they're learning a lesson. This leaves the child feeling dismissed and shamed for having a normal feeling of disappointment. These children might also struggle to develop the skills needed to self-regulate and make good choices because they've relied on others to manage their behavior. Yes, so this is the authoritarian approach. I call it the militant approach. This is not good as well because the kids are just fearing you and they're not internalizing values of hey, these are the expectations and I want you to hit them. So authoritarian is not the style that I go with. Let's talk the ocean approach. Oh no, this is so hard. Can you tell me what you're feeling? You're mad and sad? Let's talk about your mad and sad feelings. Sometimes parents who grew up in a fishbowl environment try to create a more open, flexible household for their children, but then they take it too far. Every interaction is thoroughly discussed, and leaning too much into these feelings often deprives the child of moving through them in a productive way. Yeah, the ocean approach goes way too far this way. We are just talking about feelings all the time, and here's the thing about feelings. We have no control over them. They just come. It's housed in the part of our body where we have no control. Let's not focus on feelings. Let's not dismiss all feelings, but let's not focus on it. The aquarium approach. That's a bummer. I know you love that flavor. Maybe next time we can get in the line to earlier. Let's pick something else. What else looks good? The aquarium approach takes the leadership of the fishbowl approach and combines it with the respect and compassion of the ocean approach. This combination helps children feel both confident and safe. What they're doing here is they're setting the expectations. Oh, that's disappointing. They're validating the child's feelings, but let's find another solution. Let's problem solve. What else looks good? And they're pairing it with the warm and fuzzies. This is the authoritative approach. This is what's going to build adaptable youth. This is what we want. Kids need empathy alongside parental limits, and what you're responding to with your stepdaughter is that this balance seems out of whack. By your account, your stepdaughter doesn't allow for her daughter's discomfort, which she needs to experience to develop resilience and a sense of competence in the world. Maybe this is because of the way that your stepdaughter was parented, and she's either trying to emulate or move away from that. Okay. Sometimes, too, single parents fear being the bad guy when they are navigating divorce or compensating for the pain from a divorce by protecting the child with extra tenderness. Or maybe your stepdaughter feels that adopting her own parenting style is one of the few ways she can maintain a sense of control while dealing with an uncooperative ex. Okay, I get it. We're trying to figure it out. But gentle parenting is not the way. In families that have more adults in the house, kids benefit from seeing different ways of handling situations. And while you don't live with your granddaughter, you are one of those adults in her life. You can adopt an aquarium approach. Allow her to express her emotions without your contempt. She's not a brat. She's struggling with emotion regulation, while also setting clear expectations and offering brief explanations for your decisions. Yeah, parents, this is one thing that I'm seeing a lot, and it's part of gentle parenting. You're talking too much. You're just blabbing away, and the kid is just tuning you out. The fewer words that you can use to get your child to do what you want them to do, the better it is. I was working with a client recently. The client refused to come upstairs to my office. So I went down and I looked at the client in the car and I was like, hey, you have two choices. You can either come up to the office or we're going to stay out here in the cold and I'm just going to talk and we're going to talk out here. And then the child was like, it's cold. I'm going to go upstairs. Perfect. Very few words. Here's your choices. This, done. Stop with all the chatty. The child doesn't like it. It annoys them. Stop. Just stop with all the talking. You can't eat the cookies now because we're about to have dinner, but you can have them after. If your granddaughter pouts in response, you don't need to react. You could redirect her by inviting her to play a game with you instead and still be warm but non-reactive if she rejects this and continues pouting. The more comfortable your granddaughter feels being with you, the more time you might get with her without her mother present. As a single mom, your stepdaughter might enjoy the downtime. Yes, single parents are struggling, and they have as high of levels of burnout, if not more, compared to two-parent households. You may be surprised by how a child can adapt to different expectations in different environments when those expectations are delivered with warmth and consistency. In the number 2 parenting book, consistency, consistency, consistency. It is the cornerstone of all parenting. And my book describes it perfectly. You can also work on strengthening your relationship with your stepdaughter by not bringing up your differences. When she feels seen and valued by you, that's really what millennials and Gen Z parents are really looking for. She may even become interested in the kind of parenting you're modeling instead of what she likely perceives now as an intrusive criticism. But even if she doesn't adjust her tendency to over-explain, her daughter's witnessing of a friendly and non-combative relationship between you two will likely make this girl more inclined to trust you and be more receptive to your approach. And when you feel that surge of frustration from watching your stepdaughter parent, pause to ask yourself what beliefs or experiences might be informing your response. This self-awareness can help you engage more constructively with both your stepdaughter and granddaughter. In the end, you can't control how your stepdaughter raises her daughter, but you can control how you show up in the family dynamic. You might need to adjust your expectations and recognize that your influence will be greatest if you can position yourself as an ally rather than a critic. Okay, so here's the thing. I just finished reading Mel Robbins' The Let Them Theory. And I think what she talks about in there is like, okay, if you're the grandfather in this situation, you can't go in guns a-blazing with your stepdaughter because she's going to perceive it as criticism and she's going to shut down. Now, if you go in and we're just going to go with me, what I call setting high expectations within the context of the warm and fuzzies, if you model that parenting and the child responds well because the child's going to respond well to that type of parenting, well, then your stepdaughter is going to see it and she's going to see that works. And then you just continually to model it. And then chances are, if you give her about 6 months, according to Mel Robbins, she's going to start adopting it. And then maybe this whole gentle parenting thing that your stepdaughter is doing goes out the window. You don't have to criticize. You can just allow them to see what works and what doesn't work. So for you grandparents out there that think that your child is doing it wrong or your stepchild's doing it wrong, whatever, the kids aren't being parented appropriately, don't criticize. Simply model the kind of high expectations within the context of the warm and fuzzies. That's how we're building adaptable youth. And then your child or your stepchildren will see you doing that and the results that you're getting, and they are more likely to do that because you don't have control and it's just going to cause fights. And then you're not going to be able to see your granddaughter, and no one wants that. The more adults, the more family this child is exposed to, the better off that child is. And we are going to, by doing all this, we're going to be throat punching this mental health crisis that we find ourselves in. Let's go.